Right. Hello, everybody. We'll give it about a minute or two just to make sure everybody's logged in, and then we can start. I hope everybody's doing good and staying warm and getting ready for the holidays. Let's give a minute and then we'll start. All right, let's start. It's 12:02. All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Deepti, and I'm the Marketing Operations Manager at GrowByData. We are very excited to welcome leaders from marketing, search, and digital strategy to this webinar on LLMs in action. Over the past year, search has changed in meaningful ways. Discovery is no longer driven only by traditional search results. Platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google AI overviews are increasingly shaping how brands are surfaced, cited, and trusted. So this shift has raised very important question for the leaders. Why do some brands appear in AI-generated responses while others do not? What signals influence visibility and citation? And how do recent changes in Google search fit into this whole evolution? So in today's session, we will break down on how brands appear in AI and LLM generated responses, what drives visibility, and walk through five practical framework to help you build a great strategy on AI search. With that, I'm very pleased to introduce Prasanna Tungil, co-founder and managing partner of GrowByData. Prasanna has worked closely with enterprises, brands, and agencies to help them navigate search, competitive intelligence, and AI-driven visibility. Over to you, Prasanna.
Thank you so much, Deepti, and a good morning and a good afternoon to everyone. It's a wonderful day here in Boston, slightly chilly, but it's very beautiful, and happy holidays to everyone as we get started. So I'm going to cover 5 topics today. Just start out with a quick relevant news on AI search, just to lay the groundwork. Number 2, share some key questions we've heard from brand leaders through our conversations across agency, brand, across retail, B2B, healthcare, and so on. The third is, how do you get a pulse of your visibility from AI? And that includes both share of voice, call it brand visibility and sentiment. Number 4, give some ways that we can bring this to action so that you can have a strategy and get started in terms of finding your blind spots and improving your visibility, and then leave it open for questions. All right. So first is news from yesterday. So Forrester noted that on Black Friday, traffic from answer engines to US retailer sites was 38% more likely to purchase versus non-answer engine source offers. The second is 70% of B2B marketing leaders surveyed noted that they would decrease ad spend on platforms like Amazon and Walmart and increase spend to ChatGPT and Perplexity. So it talks about flow of media dollars. The other one is from TechCrunch. ChatGPT's growth is starting to taper off. ChatGPT in terms of download growth, Gemini has begun to outpace ChatGPT in terms of download growth of monthly active users, and growth of time spent in the app. So Google being the mega player here, not surprised, as Google starts to have AI capabilities and Google AI mode, Google AI overviews begin to appear and really push. And we believe brand leaders are focused both on Google and ChatGPT and the others. And the other final one is have the consumers surveyed, seek out AI-powered search engines, and a majority saying it's their top digital source. Not surprised, more and more of us are using LLMs to answer and get responses. And then the final one is 44% of AI-powered search users say it's their primary search engine above traditional search, retail, and review sites. So just to frame the conversation on how, this is a very intent-oriented traffic many times, as well as how the playing field is increasingly, we've seen ChatGPT and Google AI. Now, the next is really through our conversation with many brand leaders, what are the key questions brand leaders are asking? So the first is my models to forecast leads are really starting to not work. I'm having difficulty defending my marketing budget, search budget going into 2026. How can I predict? The second is I'm getting some leads from AI, but things are changing fast. AI is changing so fast. How can I have the right strategy to continue to do well versus competition? I might be great today, but how can I really make sure? How can I have insurance to ensure that I continue to do well? Third is I'm worried that my premium brand is getting commoditized. LLMs are picking up my brand voice, are not picking up my brand voice and making us commoditize almost undifferentiated. What do I do? How do I protect my brand voice? The fourth is folks have already started investing in AI monitoring tools, but it's almost been like they're too generic, not actionable, and then it's the 15th tool for me to log into. How can I understand and increase my brand visibility and sentiment while I still can run my business and get insights that are very actionable, important to me? And the final one is I have an agency, content, PR teams, internal, external. Google is still an important channel for me. How do I holistically manage AI and Google? And you might have other questions. I'd love to understand more and continue the dialogue. Now, first question over for us to understand is, what is your number one concern on AI? And Dipti, we have the poll running, I believe, right? Here.
Right. So the poll is out there. It's been sent. So what is your number one concern on AI visibility? So there are 3 different options. So you can just pick your best answer.
Right. We'll give ourselves a few seconds here. And as folks are submitting their answer, we will come back to the answers. So the question would be, what should you do? How do I really defend and grow my turf? And how do I do well in AI? And I'm going to describe GrowByData as a methodology to help brands do this. So step 1 is really define. Okay, what's the starting point? Now, you don't want to boil the ocean. I always say, like, start with your key markets. Are there certain metros? Are there certain lines of business that are driving most of your traffic or your business? Who are your relevant competitors? Okay, in retail, we see Amazon and Walmart, but how is that helpful to you? I think, you are a niche brand, and so you have other competitors that are like yours that you really want to understand and have a strategy on. You may have a very localized approach. So just getting broad insights saying New York Times or the number one publisher isn't helpful to you, right? And so really narrowing this down is what we recommend. Start work on an area. And we say, like, let's take some of the source terms on Google and translate them into questions prompts across your brand terms, non-brand terms, competitor terms. You might want to ask questions around your brand quality, pricing across various stages in the marketing funnel. One of a client I was working with yesterday said, I asked him, what's the question you want to track on AI? And he said, here's a question I always get on sales. And so the question that folks are asking the sales team are gold questions that might be pertinent for you to monitor. So I'd say, like, let's start with the starting point. Step 2, let's start monitoring. right? And what you want to do is you want to monitor on AI across your questions. So when we define, you might want to track, we like to recommend clients monitor Google and ChatGPT. And so what you would want to do is, let's take maybe a category. You might have 200-300 keywords. You translate that into maybe 50-60 prompts, plus minus, across brand, non-brand, across various intents, and you start monitoring. So here's me asking questions to ChatGPT around running shoes, and it shows me various brands: Nike, Brooks, Asics, Hoka. You can depend on one sample size. You'd want to do this across many. Now, if you are local, you want to understand your brand visibility in the Chicago market versus the Boston market, if those are two important markets for you, because who shows up in each of the markets will be different. And you can't get a national view. You need a local view, because that's the way you're actionable, right? And so when you're tracking it like this across a lot of keywords, prompts, across various markets, you have a broad data set from which you can begin to make decisions. So step 3 is really understand, which is see your visibility rise and fall. So this was our work we were doing across ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google for some auto questions. And in this subset, what we were finding was Chevy was number 1, followed by Toyota and Kia. And so if I am Hyundai and I'm trying to win in AI search, then this is telling, right? So I'm not too strong here. And so I need a game plan. And then when I make changes, I will want to be tracking whether it's causing improvements. And even if I am improving, I know competitors are changing and AI engines are changing. So I cannot be kind of relaxed and assume everything is great. So this is a way that brands are tracking their visibility at a macro level across top markets, across top lines of business over time. The second is you would want to understand your visibility across various segments. So in this case, we were working with a healthcare client that was looking at this across Europe, Amsterdam, Warsaw, Madrid, and you can begin to see NIH is very strong in Amsterdam as a source of information, followed by WebMD, whereas in Madrid, YouTube is strong, followed by Wikipedia. So I'm just giving you a representation. But and if Madrid is a top market for you, if you're weak in YouTube, you do not get the eyeballs and the visibility there. So you need to have a strategy. So you can segment it across the top markets and understand who's showing up. And this could even inform your strategy around showing up strongly in these domains that are showing up here. The second slice we strongly recommend is do it by your lines of business or the way you run your business. So for example, we are working in the lighting category. And so if you're really selling to the B2B builders or home builders and compliance, imagine we are working in the education space, trying to build a big school here in Boston. And so if compliance and standards are important, then the fact that you're Philips and you do not show up is problematic, because that might be a key criteria that your buyers have. So you can begin to understand this way. And it's important that way you understand your strengths and weaknesses. The third is what we have found in AI. It's almost like the early days of Google, where it was blue links. Today, yes, we are seeing maps, we are seeing images, and the AI interfaces have improved. I won't say the word improve, but I've seen a lot more on the AI interface. But still, the sources are like citations. So generally, the brand or the competitor's domain shows up when you do a search. Say, what are the best sofas for my sofa bed for my bedroom? Then I might see, like Home Depot, or I might see other brands there, Crate and Barrel or what have you. And then second is I'm also seeing review sites like Reddit show up. Now, this is an example from the auto industry. And what we were finding is publishers like Car and Driver, um, Edmunds, Kelly's Blue Book were showing up. So the question is, if Kelly's Blue Book becomes important, right? So this was done a few weeks back, but when we do the scan, if Kelly's Blue Book is really rising to the top here, and your brand and your, say, Hyundai, and you're not getting picked up by Kelly's Blue Book, that's a problem. So you understand who is visible and whether you're visible or not. And if you're not, then the question is it a conversation with Kelly's Blue Book so that your visibility improves over time, which is an organic play, or is it really a pay to play? Is it a paid placement where Kelly's Blue Book begins to surface your brand versus competition? So you can see how this kind of segmentation and really understanding who is showing up and whether they're showing you allows you to have a game plan to have your PR team or your media team or your affiliate team reach out and have a conversation and make sure that your brand is being represented versus competition. The other is we also like to continue to have clients monitor Google. So how is your visibility across traditional Google? Who is showing up? What's your performance on ChatGPT versus Google, the traditional Google, Google AI? And so our approach, again, going back to the fifth question, is how do I have an holistic strategy across AI and Google? We are monitoring Google. We are monitoring AI on the same platform, looking at correlations so that we can make it easy so that you can have an holistic strategy. The other area would be many times brands are like, I really want to have certain markets that are important for me. I want to understand my visibility in the LA market, right? So if imagine you're a clothing brand and LA is a key market for you, you're a boutique brand. So what's your brand visibility in LA? And who are the top players here? And how is that trending over time? And specifically, how does that visibility vary across the LLMs? In this example, we just found the brand in Google AI mode and almost absent in Perplexity and ChatGPT. So, and that's an opportunity. Why aren't you in ChatGPT, for example, is a question you can try to deconstruct. The other would be like, okay, now let's go down to the prompt or question level. You might be monitoring 100 questions. Telling you that you're not visible is not important. There may be certain important questions that are where people are asking you the most. Going back to my example of the salesperson at this client site who knew the number one question. And the question is, when someone asks the important question, is your brand visible? And what do you do to get picked up on the answer to that question? So it can help clients even deconstruct it at a prompt level. The other would be like, okay, going back to the example of publishers. If LA is an important market for you, then in the LA market, for my relevant questions, who are the top publishers? And are the publishers picking me? Or are they picking competition? And there's two types of publishers we found. One are the national players. So it could be the New York Times. And it could be a longer game to get picked up by the New York Times. Whereas sometimes, you might have a relationship with the Beverly Hills local. And so if you find the Beverly Hills local here, and your brand isn't visible, then it may be relatively easier to have a relationship with Beverly Hills local and get noted, or you may already have a relationship and it may be a conversation. Again, it could be a pay to play, but at least you can segment it by the big players and the regional players. And the other thing you can do is, again, going back to my example, I think it's not really valuable for you if I tell you that New York Times and the Washington Post or the LA Times are the biggest players. I think what's more relevant for you is buy my top markets. If Chicago, New York, and LA are my top markets, tell me who I should go to and talk there, because I want to see who's showing up. And so this is the way we try to make it very actionable. The other dimension that brands many times want to understand is, okay, let's imagine your brand is visible. Okay. I search for what's the best sleeping mattress for me. And Prasanna's sleepwear. Imagine I have a sleep company. It shows up. Wonderful. But if people are saying negative things about me, then people aren't going to buy from me. And so understanding your brand health is also important. It's almost like, we look at reviews and ratings when we buy. Same here. We're not going to buy one that has a 1-star or 2-star rating for a comfortable night's sleep. We're willing to pay the premium to buy a nice bed and sleep. And so you might be a premium brand. You might be pricing yourself as a premium player. However, when folks search and AI gives a response which is negative, you want to understand that, and you want to understand the why. What specific question is generating the negative response, and what exactly is it, so that you can go to the source and then get that addressed. So this is also another very important question that brand leaders are having in terms of AI. And this again goes back to the brand drift, or call it commoditized aspect. Sure, you may be a premium player. That's how you're positioning yourself, right? In the market, pricing might be the same. Your digital shelf or the physical shelf might be such. However, if your brand is not portrayed appropriately and you don't have a game plan on that, it just leads to commoditization. This is almost like someone's watching over your brand to make sure that your brand alignment from across all facets, from pricing to service to brand personality, is aligned. Now, with all of that, right, visibility and sentiment, the other thing that we strongly believe brand leaders must do is you must continue to watch. I almost say it's like insurance. You don't want someone to come to your eyes and say it's all good. You want to make sure that you have insurance just to make sure that if something goes wrong, you're on top. So here's an example from Google. Okay, so we know, so we've been monitoring Google for years, and this example talks about how AI overviews on Google has continued to rise, through the year. And again, the reason is Google's pushing AI. And so if you have a strategy, and there is a similar analogy in ChatGPT and others. And so for the channels you're focused on, we believe that you should be tracking your visibility and you should be going where the puck is going. So if ChatGPT begins to surface videos or a new feature and you're absent, then you're going to lose visibility. And so that's why, I strongly believe, you want to keep monitoring, and that's what some of the best customers we work with are doing. And then finally, we believe that, you want to constantly adjust, right? This is changing so fast, and we don't claim to be an expert, for forever. We are an intelligence firm. We monitor these platforms. We have conversations. We try to understand some of the challenges, and we're adjusting our platform and our services. But I believe that, someone who comes in with here's the playbook is almost, how do we know what's going to happen in 6 months? Because, for example, if the playbook early part of the year was to focus on something else, then you might realize that, you're losing out. And sometimes it's a bit too late. So we believe that it's also constantly adjusting to win on AI. So I'll ask Dipti to share the poll results here.
Okay, the poll result wasn't very surprising at all. So 88% of our attendees, they feel like I'm visible on AI today, but I'm not confident that I will continue to win. My competitors seem to be beating me. So that seems to be the concern now.
Thank you so much. That would be the question I would myself. That's the response I would have, because as a brand leader, I'm just, it's changing so much, and change is a wonderful opportunity for all of us. But that also means we have to be very agile and keep our strategies open. Um, Thank you, Dipti. Now, quickly talk about GrowByData and open it up for questions. We provide market intelligence on search, AI, pricing, and we blend it. We have a platform and we use professional services to really try to make it easy. The clients we work with, we try to be almost a partner to the leaders we work with. So, we can provide them questions to important, sorry, we can provide answers to their important questions versus just give another tool. Try to make it easy through, precise actions. The biggest value is we provide an independent perspective, not biased by individuals internally or the agency. And I think the colleagues across different departments claim that we also save time because we are a consolidated reporting entity also. That's like cherry on the top here. So open up for questions now.
Okay, we have one question here. Let's see. And if you have any more questions, feel free to send it here. Even if you do not get a time, we will get back to you. The first question I have here is, if my brand voice is negative, can you help me pinpoint where exactly the source of the problem is?
Absolutely. So if we go back to our example from a few slides back, if your brand as Nike is negative, then what we help you understand is, gosh, across these AI engines, where the problem is. So in Nike's case, it was like Google AI overviews and ChatGPT. Now the question is, you might be monitoring 100 questions on AI overviews and ChatGPT. So what are the questions that have negative? What day was it negative? Go down, we take a picture. And so what specifically is AI saying that is triggering this negative emotion? It could just be a customer was very angry with a service about the product delivery, or it could be the pricing, or it could be just the style. So there's many facets. So we're able to go to the source and deconstruct the why and help you understand.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. I can see you can monitor my visibility by market. Can you see who are the publishers that I could reach out to?
Of course. So if we're based in Boston, if Boston is a big market for you and you are in the home furnishing space, then the question will be, when people are searching for what's the best sofa set on ChatGPT, and it's, again, New York Times, it's some of the big publishers, then that's a strategy on its own to go and be visible with them. The second could be, we also help you understand what are the publisher sites that are showing up in the Boston Metro, and which it could be Boston.com, could be the local Cambridge journal, the Cambridge design journal, what have you. So we help you understand that, so that we have a list of all the publishers that show up, but more importantly, we prioritize and say, here's the big players, and here's the regional players, and here's 3, here's 5 that might be relevant for you. So yes, absolutely.
I think we are right on time. It's 12:30 right now. Like I mentioned before, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. You will be receiving the recorded presentation along with the deck. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the year and a happy holidays. And again, by all means, if you have any question, send us an email. All right. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays, and thank you so much.